You are 24. The receipt is still warm from the register. $9. A coffee and a sandwich you didn't need, eaten standing up in a parking lot because your lunch break is 11 minutes long by the time you walk back to your car. The receipt curls at the edges from the heat of the dashboard. You fold it once and drop it in the cup holder on top of 3 others just like it. Somebody in the break room mentioned an app. Round up your purchases, invest the difference, set it and forget it. You weren't really listening. You caught one number out of the whole conversation. $9 a day if you just left it alone. You do the math while the engine idles. $9 times 365, $3,285 a year. It sounds like nothing. It sounds like a rounding error in a life that already has bigger problems. The rent increase, the brakes the car needs, the credit card statement you've stopped opening. You open the app anyway, not because you believe it will work, because it's easier than deciding not to. You link the account. You pick 3 funds because the app suggests them and you don't have a better idea. You close the app and forget the password within a week. You do not know it yet, but this is the only decision in the next 41 years that will matter more than any other one. You forget the app exists within a month. A small deduction shows up on your bank statement under a name you don't recognize at first. You almost dispute it before you remember what it is. Everyone around you is running a different program. Wendell, 2 cubicles over, leases a car that costs more a month than your rent. 26 years old, first real job with a real title, and the script says reward yourself now. You helped him pick the trim package. Black. Upgraded wheels. The extended warranty the finance guy really wanted him to take. Wendell isn't wrong. Wendell is just early. Running the version almost everyone runs. Spend visibly. Save later. Later has a way of not showing up on the calendar. You don't judge him for it. His apartment has a couch that photographs better than yours. His weekends look better on a phone screen than yours do. Nobody at work talks about compound interest over lunch. Nobody talks about index funds or expense ratios or qualified dividends. The conversation is always about what people bought, never about what people kept. There's a spreadsheet Wendell shows you once, half joking, tracking how many months until the lease is paid off and he can upgrade again. He shows it to you like it's a countdown to something good. You nod. You don't have a spreadsheet. You have an app you forgot the password to, and a folder in your email you never opened. You keep the app. Quietly. You don't mention it to Wendell. There's no reason to. $9 a day isn't a personality. It isn't a flex. It's just a number that leaves your account before you can miss it. You don't decide to become an investor. That word doesn't apply to $9 a day. You decide something smaller and stranger. You decide not to check it. Not out of discipline, out of disinterest. The balance is too small the first year to be worth looking at. A few $100s, sitting in funds you can't fully explain to anyone, including yourself. You don't tell your parents. There's nothing to post. It is the least photogenic decision you will ever make in your life. The cup with the crumpled receipts stays in your console for weeks before someone finally cleans it out. You don't know yet that this cup, some new version of it, week after week, year after year, is the one object your entire life is going to keep circling back to. You are 29 now, 5 years in, $9 a day, on autopilot, through 2 job changes, 1 breakup, and a year where you almost turned it off because money was tight and $9 felt like something you could use elsewhere. The balance reads $19,845. You put in $16,200 of that yourself. The other $3,645 showed up on its own. Nobody handed it to you. It accumulated in the background of a life you were busy living. New apartment, new job title, a dog you almost adopted and didn't. Wendell leases a second car. Newer trim, nicer sound system. He mentions the payment once, casually, the way people mention weather. You don't mention your number. There's nothing dramatic to say about $19,845. It's not a story. It's a line item. Your car from 3 years ago is still your car. You haven't upgraded anything. The cup holder still holds the same kind of folded receipt, a little more worn at the crease than it used to be. Nobody has ever asked you about it. There is nothing about it that invites a question. You are 34 now, 10 years of $9 a day. The balance is $49,397. You've contributed $32,400. The other $16,997 grew on its own, quietly. while you were arguing with a landlord about a security deposit and adopting a dog you actually kept this time and not thinking about any of this at all. This is the year Wendell starts. Not with a car this time, with an app, the same kind you're using, prompted by a raise and a sudden, quiet fear that he's behind everyone his age. He isn't behind. He's exactly on time by every normal measure. He's just 10 years behind you specifically, and neither of you can see that gap yet. 10 years doesn't look like anything from the inside. It looks like a Tuesday. It looks like an app icon added to a home screen next to a dozen others. You are 39 now. 15 years in, $93,447 in the account. $48,600 of it is yours. $44,847 of it is not. It's the market's contribution, compounding in silence, doing more work in the background than you did most months at your actual job. The cup is still the cup, not literally the same one. A new one most weeks, same $9 charge, same faded thermal receipt stapled to the sleeve out of habit now. A tiny ritual you don't examine anymore. You keep one in the console of every car you've owned since 24. You've never stopped. You've never asked yourself why. Nobody claps at any of these milestones. There's no music, just a number on a screen that gets slightly bigger every time you happen to look, which by now is rare. Checking it stopped being interesting around year 8, somewhere between the promotion and the dog. Wendell, 5 years into his own account now, checks his constantly, refreshes it the way you might refresh a message you're waiting on. He asks you once if that's normal. You tell him it evens out. You don't tell him you haven't opened yours in 14 months. There isn't a comfortable way to say that without it sounding like a boast, so you don't say it at all. Here's the part nobody tells you. The years between 34 and 44 don't feel like progress. They feel like nothing in particular happening, repeatedly, for a decade. A dog gets older, a landlord gets replaced by a mortgage, a promotion takes longer than it should have. The account just sits there, in the background, like a second job you forgot you hired and forgot to check in on. You change jobs twice more in these years. Both times, you roll the old account into the new one without really thinking about it. A 15-minute task you do on a Sunday afternoon between errands. Neither move feels significant. Neither move is treated as significant. It's paperwork. It's a checkbox. Somewhere in here, you stop calling it the investing thing in your head and start just calling it the account, the way you'd refer to a utility bill. It has stopped being a decision. It has become a fact about your life, the same way your height is a fact about your life. You are 44 now, a Wednesday. Nothing about the morning suggests anything is different. You're standing at a pharmacy counter, refilling something routine. Your phone buzzes once in your pocket, a scheduled account summary you almost don't open, the kind of notification you usually swipe away without reading. $159,084. You contributed $64,800 across 20 years. The account grew $94,284 on top of that, more than every dollar you personally put in since Wendell bought his first car. The growth has now overtaken the contribution. The machine you built without meaning to build it is doing more than you are. This is what the crossing sounds like. Almost nothing. You're standing in a pharmacy parking lot holding a paper bag, somewhere inside a phone in your pocket, a number just quietly past a threshold that took 20 years to reach, and will never be visible to another human being unless you tell them, which you don't. You put the phone away. You still have a refill to pick up. The line hasn't moved. There's a version of this moment in a movie somewhere. Music swells, someone calls a friend, someone pours a drink to celebrate. Your version involves an expired parking receipt on the dashboard, and a pharmacist mispronouncing your last name over the intercom. You answer to it anyway. You always do. Wendell is 44 too, 10 years into his own version of this. Having started at 34, the year he watched you adopt a dog and heard you mention nothing about money at all. His balance, $49,397. The exact number yours was, back when you were his age today. He's not behind because he did anything wrong. He's behind because a decade is a decade, and no amount of catching up later closes a gap made entirely of time. He mentions it once, almost proudly, over drinks he's paying for. Started an investment account, feels good about it. You nod. You don't say anything about your own number, not because you're hiding it. There's simply nothing interesting to say about a figure that's been quietly compounding for 2 decades. Here's the part that complicates things. Wendell seems happier than you some weeks. He drives a car he loves, one he's actually excited to get into every morning. He takes trips you don't take. His life is louder, more visible, more immediately enjoyed than yours. He isn't a cautionary tale. He's running on a different timeline, one that traded 10 years of compounding for 10 years of things he can point to, photograph, remember fondly. You don't know yet which trade was better, neither does he. Maybe neither of you ever will. There's a version of this where Wendell is the one who got it right. A version where a life measured in trips taken and cars enjoyed and moments actually felt in real time outperforms a number on a screen nobody but you will ever see. You think about that version sometimes, usually at 2 in the morning, usually for no reason you can point to. You don't reach a conclusion. You go back to sleep. Here's the part nobody tells you about the years between 44 and 54. The money stops being the interesting part of your life. What's interesting is how little it changes you day to day. You don't feel richer at 44 than you did at 34. You feel the same amount of tired, worried about slightly different things, still eating lunch too fast, still forgetting to drink enough water. Freedom, when it's 20 years out, doesn't announce itself. It just quietly removes certain kinds of fear before you notice they're gone. The fear of a surprise expense turning into a crisis. The fear of a bad year at work becoming a bad decade. You didn't feel the fear leave. You just noticed. One ordinary week, driving home from a job that no longer scares you the way it used to, that it wasn't there anymore. Nobody claps. Nobody notices. No music plays. You are 54 now, 30 years in, $402,408 in the account. $97,200 of that is yours. $305,208 of it isn't. Decades of compounding that happened whether you were paying attention or not, whether you remembered your password or not, whether you believed in it or not. There's a strange grief buried in this kind of freedom. Nobody prepares you for how anticlimactic it is to realize you don't have to worry about money the way you used to, and how quiet that realization is compared to how loud the worry always was for so many years before it. You are 65 now. The account reads $1,024,110. You contributed $132,840 of it across 41 years. The remaining $891,270 is growth, time, converted into money, without you doing very much at all, beyond not touching it. The cup is still the cup. Faded thermal receipt, stapled to the sleeve out of a habit you've never once explained to anyone, sitting in the console of a car you'll probably trade in next year. A habit from a life that started in a parking lot with a $9 charge you didn't think twice about at the time. Wendell, also 65, has $439,479. 31 years of the same discipline, the same $9 a day, the same kind of app. Not a failure. A genuinely large number by any reasonable measure. One most people would be thrilled to reach. Just less than half of yours. Entirely because of 10 years neither of you can see or touch or point to. 10 years that looked, at the time, like nothing at all. At a dinner neither of you planned to talk about money at, Wendell mentions his number, almost shyly, the way people mention something they're proud of and slightly unsure of at the same time. You mention yours. Neither of you says anything else about it. The conversation moves to something else within a minute, the way these conversations always do. You never told anyone the number before that night. Not because it was a secret. There was simply never a natural place in a conversation for it to come up. The question was never how much you needed to invest. $9 is not an impressive number. It never was, not at 24 and not at 65. The question was always whether you could stay quiet enough, for long enough, for a small number to become an inevitable one. Wendell didn't lose by starting at 34. He lost 10 years he can't get back, which is a different kind of loss than the one people usually talk about at dinner parties. Nobody warns you that the real cost was never the money spent. It was the decade spent not deciding. The receipt from that first parking lot lunch is long gone. The cup has been replaced 1,000 times over, in a dozen different cars, across 4 decades. The $9 was never really $9. It was time, wearing a disguise small enough to ignore. Somewhere right now, someone is 24, standing in a parking lot, holding a receipt for $9, deciding whether it's worth downloading an app for. They don't know yet that the number isn't the point. They don't know that in 41 years, the $9 will have quietly become something with six figures behind it. Or that the only irreversible mistake available to them today isn't the amount, it's the decade they let slip past while deciding. Somewhere else, someone is 34, just now getting started, telling themselves it's not too late. They're right. It rarely is. It's just more expensive than it would have been 10 years ago, in the one currency you can never earn back. What would you decide if you knew the number was never really about the money at all?